Hi everyone, it's Miss Akbari in the library. I wanted to tell you about a book called The 12 by the author Mindy Lin. This is a book from our fantasy section of our library. So fantasy books mean that there's a lot of either made up worlds or events or things that involve magic, creatures, animals that have powers, that sort of thing. And that's definitely true in this book, The 12. The 12 is the story of Usagi. Usagi lives on the island nation of Midaga. This is a totally made up nation. And this nation, Midaga, has been in a bit of an uproar over the last several years. Midaga is a magical place. There are people there that have powers beyond what we would know as humans, and it's due to the zodiac symbols that they are born under. So it's not true for everybody, but it's true for a certain amount of people. And so if you're familiar with the zodiac, or specifically like the Chinese zodiac, this goes a lot along with that. So there are animal symbols of the zodiac in the Chinese zodiac, and people in Usagi's land have powers related to that. So for example, Usagi is born in the year of the wood rabbit, and so she has some abilities that a rabbit would have that add to her normal human abilities. So for instance, she has really super fine hearing. She can hear things miles away. She can hear animals chewing grass. She can hear conversations that are happening across town, different things like that. She also, like a rabbit would, has superhuman jumping ability, so she's able to leap really far, really high. The only problem is she hasn't really learned how to control that. So it's a power that isn't very helpful at the moment. And Usagi and her sister and her best friend are living on their own, even as kind of young adults. Their parents, who also had zodiac powers, were killed by someone called the Dragon Lord. So the Dragon Lord has taken over the entire island nation of Midaga, has hunted out people that have zodiac powers, and has killed them. And so because of that, Usagi doesn't have her parents. She's also under a lot of danger and has to be careful with her own abilities, that she doesn't use them in plain sight, because she might get taken away for that as well. And at the beginning of the book, Usagi's sister and her best friend get taken away by the Dragon Lord soldiers, and so Usagi must go on a quest to help them, to rescue them. And she comes across some other travelers who also have zodiac abilities, and they let her know about the 12, which is kind of an ancient group of people who have sort of a tradition of passing their abilities and their knowledge down. And Usagi starts to train, starts to learn, and starts to find more of her powers. And as she does this, she has one teacher called the Tigress who is really important to her. And there was a little bit about failure that her teacher tries to tell her about, and I wanted to read that to you, because as Usagi's learning, she spends a lot of time failing. She has things kind of get a little worse before they start to get better. And she's really frustrated by that, and her teacher tells her, "Failure does not predict future failure. It is simply a delay, not defeat. Failure is the seed from which success springs," said the Tigress. I think that's really important. Failure is the seed from which success springs. A lot of times I think we are afraid to fail, and we're afraid to learn new things because we know we're not going to be good at it right away. But even in a fantasy book, even in a book full of magic, we can take some information and kind of apply it to our own lives. So, what are those things that we're afraid to fail at, and how can we overcome that? If you like books about magic, if you like books about combat, this reads a little bit like, almost like a kung fu story in a way. This might be a good book for you. And it's the beginning of a series, so I know a lot of us like to read books that have follow-ups and sequels to them. So I would recommend reading The 12.